whispers of the water, the quest for reunion. The tranquility of the water around Mark and Amana shattered in an instant, as the ocean erupted into chaos. Harpoons, like deadly serpents, pierced the water with ferocious intent, their points embedding into the seafloor with a thud, nets billowing out to entrap them. Amana's cry pierced the turmoil, a sound so laden with fear it cut straight to Mark's core. Her eyes, wide and reflecting the terror of her deepest fears, met his in a silent plea. The very fear she had confided in him, the dread of capture, of being enclosed, was unfolding before their eyes. In her struggle against the nets, her movements were frantic and desperate for freedom. Mark's heart raced, instincts ignited by the sight of Amana's distress. Though he too was caught, his understanding of such traps, because of his life on land, gave him a brief advantage. With every ounce of strength, he fought against the confines of the net, his sole focus to release Amana from its grip. The terror in her eyes reflected a fate he could not bear to witness, her capture. It happened in a blur, the net yielding just enough under his relentless assault to free Amana. But as she slipped from the net's hold, the harpoons were wrenched back to the surface, dragging Mark with them knotted in the nets, leaving Amana behind in the depths. Mark's gaze locked with Amana's, her eyes filled with helplessness and terror. The distance grew with each passing second. As he broke the surface, suspended in the air, the first face Mark saw was his father's. His father's eyes met his, a momentary acknowledgement, before he anxiously and expectantly scanned the rest of the net. "Where is she?" he shouted at one of the men who had helped pull in the nets. When the man shrugged, Mark's father shouted, "Get back down there, hurry!" Suspended in the nets, Mark could only watch helplessly as the harpoons plunged once again into the ocean's depths in a frantic search for Amana. To Mark's immense relief, they returned empty. At that, his father's gaze darkened and shifted away from the empty nets in disappointment. With an authoritative gesture, his father commanded the men on the yacht to hoist Mark aboard, sealing his fate. As he was reeled in, the ocean retreated below. The last glimpse of Amana, her figure diminishing in the depths, swallowed by the ocean's abyss, inflicted a pain so acute that it overwhelmed his senses, forcing him to collapse from the shock of sudden separation, their torn proximity. Mark's eyes snapped open, far from the sea, disoriented at a pool's bottom. Pushing up with his tail, weighed down by his earlier struggle, he surfaced in an old, well-kept pool house, its walls alien after the ocean's expanse. The air blended chlorine with old stone's must, sunlight piercing through arched windows. Realizing his separation from Amana, his heart yearned for her presence, her voice, her touch. Yet silence engulfed him, amplifying his isolation. Mark heaved himself onto the edge of the pool and searched the waters for a path back to Amana, to his world. Instead, he met only his reflection, alone. The sound of footsteps echoed through the pool house, breaking the silence. Mark turned, tensing for confrontation, only to find his father stepping into the light. Their eyes met, a myriad of emotions passing between them. His father's presence, once a source of guidance, now represented the very force that had torn him from Amana. "Mark," his father began, his voice heavy, "I know you have many questions, and I have a lot to explain." Mark's gaze on his father hardened. The room remained still, with its tranquil pool and beams of light. "I already know, and I've already made peace with it," Mark said, his voice a mixture of anger and desperation. "But why? Why was I taken from her? How could you do this?" "Where's Amana?" His father sighed, a deep, weary exhalation. He moved closer, pulling a chair to sit by the pool's edge, gesturing for Mark to get back in the water. The air between them was charged, brimming with the tension of impending truths. You shouldn't stay long out of water, he said. Mark's brows furrowed in confusion, his father's words echoing eerily the sentiments Amana had shared at their first meeting. It's a long story, Mark, one that begins before you were even born, his father started to say. I've gathered that much. You sold me, your own son, for money. It's not that simple, Mark. Mark's father sighed deeply, a burden of years a manifest in his posture as he began to unravel the past. I promised you to the mermaids out of desperation, he confessed, his voice heavy. Our family was in ruin. Your mother, your grandmother, and I had lost everything. In my darkest hour, I wished for wealth, for a way to save us all. It was a decision I made before your conception. I thought I could avoid the promise by never having a child. But then you came along, Mark. Your arrival was a joy, a miracle we never anticipated. His father's expression darkened with the weight of realization. I thought I could keep us away from Kenya, from the mermaids' influence, but their power over me, it's like a siren's call, compelling me to actions against my will, and I fear they have that same control over you. Mark's heart raced, a mix of disbelief and fear coursing through him. You think they control me? That I can't think for myself around them? Exactly, his father affirmed. Their words, their voices are like a lure, drawing you in deeper. They're sirens, Mark. Once you're caught in their song, clarity, reason, they slip away. A heavy silence fell between them, charged with revelations and the echo of choices made long ago. Mark, grappling with the enormity of his father's confession, sought answers to the lingering question. Why did you try to capture Amana? His father's response was tinged with sadness, a secret pain glimpsed in his eyes. That's not what's important now. What's important is that you are here, my son. But I want to be with Amana. I've found my reason to be in Kenya. It's to be with her, Mark protested. You're the one who dragged me there in the first place. I raised you well, Mark. I'm sure you can see how much different this is. I don't care, Mark said. Shaking his head, his father remained resolute. I can't let you go, Mark. It's too dangerous. The pull of their world, of Amana, it's a path that leads only to loss. As he turned to leave, locking Mark within the confines of the pool house, he muttered, a confession laden with guilt. This is all my fault. I've failed you once again by letting you return to the water. Your connection to the land, your legs, they're forever lost to you because of my hesitation. I'll have the chlorinated water replaced with fresh seawater tomorrow. I'll make your captivity as bearable as I can, but you'll stay here. I won't let them have you. Mark's shouts, pleas for freedom, to return to Amana, echoed futilely as his father's footsteps receded. Alone, Mark sank to the bottom of the pool, the cool embrace of the water, a poor substitute for Amana's touch. His thoughts were a whirlwind of emotion, anger, betrayal, longing, all swirling around the stark realization of his isolation. Days passed, each one stretching into an endless expanse of solitude. Mark's mind was a prison of his own making, haunted by dreams of Amana, and waking moments filled with calls to her that went unanswered. Then, unexpectedly, the lock clicked, the door swung open, and a girl about his age stepped into the pool house. He hid, diving to the bottom of the pool, and watched as the girl, startled by the ripple he'd caused, approached the pool's edge to investigate. Mark's heart raced, hoping somehow she wouldn't see him, but... At the sight of Mark, deep in the clear pool, she gasped, eyes wide on his merman's tail glinting beneath the surface. Anticipating her impulse to bolt and alert others, Mark propelled himself upward with urgency, breaking the water's surface to intercept her panic. Please don't run or scream, he urged, his voice laced with calm desperation, acutely aware of the chaos his existence could cause. Despite his intentions, his sudden emergence frightened her into screaming, Yet he stretched out a hand, a gesture of reassurance, asking her to stay silent. Noticing her hesitation, Mark slowly retreated to the pool's distant edge, careful to avoid any abrupt movements that could frighten her more. Are you real?" she ventured, her voice tinged with a tremble as she grappled with the reality of what her eyes beheld. Mark remained silent, cautious of revealing too much, yet knowing she had already seen more than anyone should. "Are you a mermaid?" she ventured again. Mark thought to correct her. He was a merman, not a mermaid, but chose instead to say, "How'd you get in here? I thought this place was locked up." "Do you live here?" she asked, her fear seemingly replaced by curiosity. "You should go. You're probably trespassing." "Are you hungry?" she asked. Mark, caught off guard by her abrupt shift from fear to casual concern, furrowed his brows in confusion. He observed, puzzled, as she retrieved a cheeseburger from her knapsack. He was on the verge of refusing when someone called out, "Destiny!" Her response to the name confirmed it as hers. "I'm sorry," she said, her voice urgent. "I have to leave now, before they come looking for me. But I promise I won't tell anyone about you. I'll be back tomorrow." With that, she dashed away, leaving Mark alone in the echoing silence. That night, Mark's dreams were once more filled with Amana. Yet this dream took an unexpected turn. She revealed a location within the dream, the Hudson River, and called out to him, urging him to meet her there. Once he woke up, Mark realized the truth. Amana hadn't returned through the portal as he had thought. Instead, she was searching for him, waiting somewhere along the river's banks. When Destiny returned the next morning, Mark was fueled by a renewed sense of purpose. He gently declined the burger she extended, choosing instead to carefully measure her trustworthiness through thoughtful questions. With mindful care, he unfolded his tale, his captivity, his ache for his beloved Amana, artfully omitting certain truths, such as his past life as an ordinary boy and the fact that his father was his captor. Destiny, quickly captivated by his story and presence, warmed to him with surprising speed. In mere minutes, she conversed with him as if they had shared a bond for years, her intrigue and empathy for Mark deepening with every word. However, upon learning Amana was also a mermaid and questioning her beauty, Destiny's spirit seemed to falter. So much so that Mark thought she wouldn't accept the mission he was about to give her, but once he asked her again, she agreed. She accepted Mark's mission to search the Hudson River for Amana. As she made her way to the river, a whirlpool of emotions engulfed her. "What am I doing? Why am I doing this for him?" she questioned, her thoughts a tangle of confusion. A sudden, overwhelming urge to turn back and confess her feelings for him emerged. The night, after discovering him, she lay restless, the memory of their encounter setting her heart ablaze. The sight of a merman, something she had only dreamed of, bathed in the glow of sunlight, had sent her pulse racing. His gaze, both terrifying and thrilling, drew her in, her fear overshadowed by a magnetic pull towards his otherworldly beauty. He was real, a living fantasy, his allure almost too intense to bear. Yet, the sight of such a magnificent being confined away from the ocean's boundless depths stirred a storm within her. Now, she found herself caught in the agony of wanting to keep Mark all to herself, despite knowing his heart yearned for Amana. Mark had seen its signs, but not understood that Destiny had already fallen in love with him, bewitched by his merman's innate allure. His determination to reunite with his love anchored him, leaving her adrift in her own sea of conflicted emotions. Destiny, upon reaching the Hudson River, began her search with a heart heavy with these mixed emotions. The location Mark specified held no immediate signs of Amana, pushing Destiny toward the brink of giving up. Just as she was about to turn away, disheartened, her gaze caught a glimmer of movement in the water, a sight that stole her breath away. There, emerging from the depths with an elegance that seemed to bend the light around her, was Amana. Destiny could only stare, awestruck by the mermaid's undeniable beauty. Amana's azure eyes sparkled with a depth reminiscent of the sea itself, her features ethereal, casting an allure that was both otherworldly and captivating. In that moment, Destiny felt a pang of insecurity so acute it was almost physical. Any hope she harbored of catching Mark's attention seemed trivial, foolish even, in the face of Amana's majestic presence. How could she, a mere human girl, ever compete with the enchanting beauty and mystical charm of a mermaid? The realization was a bitter pill to swallow, yet it cemented her resolve. She had to help Mark. Despite her feelings, no one deserved to be locked up like that. Swallowing her pride and her burgeoning feelings for him, Destiny approached Amana with a mixture of reverence and determination. "Amana?" she asked, her voice steady despite the turmoil inside her. "I've been sent by Mark. He's waiting for you, but he can't come himself. He's trapped." Amana's response, her voice melodic and filled with concern, confirmed her identity and carried through the wind a surreal quality Destiny had never before experienced. But as Destiny was about to introduce herself, Amana, with an air of deep knowing, interjected. "I know who you are." Destiny found herself transfixed, caught in the depth of Amana's azure gaze, feeling as though her very soul was laid bare. "You know me?" Destiny whispered, incredulous. "I do. But do you understand whose destiny you are?" Amana posed gently. "I don't seek your answer now. Reflect on it. Now, tell me of Mark." Destiny complied. Listening intently to Destiny's account, Amana finally spoke, her voice filled with a rare fierceness. "Tewodros," she began, her serene demeanor shifting as her eyes clouded with a storm. "To have gone to such lengths." Her words trailed off, leaving a silence heavy with unspoken threats. "Carry this message to Mark. I will come for him, and you will aid me." "Me? How can I possibly help?" "When you return here at sunset tomorrow, you will know," Amana assured her. "His father will answer for his deceit." This revelation struck Destiny like a wave. Mark was imprisoned by his father? Tewodros? The Tewodros Adebisi? The titan among men, whose empire stretched from towering skyscrapers to the very museum grounds enclosing Mark's aquatic cell. Destiny's mind raced, trying to reconcile Mark's mermaid existence with his human lineage. But how? Sensing Destiny's turmoil, Amana added, "There's no time to untangle this web. Just know, Tewodros' deception runs deep. He is not at all what he seems." As Destiny began to walk away, Amana's voice halted her. "Understand this, Destiny. Mark is mine, and I am his. Nothing and no one can break the bond we share." With that, Amana vanished beneath the waves, leaving Destiny to grapple with the sudden intensity of Amana's claim. Destiny carried the message back to Mark, who was both elated and puzzled. "But how? Amana's a mermaid. How can she come for me?" When Destiny returned to the riverbank at sunset the following day, Amana called her closer to the water's edge. "I need something from you, Destiny. Permission to borrow your essence, to walk on land for one day." Destiny learned of how the process worked, how it would affect her and the grave cost of this transformation. Amana explained, "This requires the sacrifice of mermaid lives. 100 of us will share our essence to make this happen, but it will shorten our lives significantly, including mine." Her voice was laced with sadness. "We do not take to land lightly, for it often means the end for us. This transformation is something we never do, our numbers already dwindling. But for Mark, it is worth it." Destiny, moved by the gravity of the sacrifice and the love Amana and the other mermaids held for Mark, agreed without hesitation. "If it will bring you to Mark, then yes, I'll help." As the ritual commenced, Destiny stood amidst Amana and the 100 mermaids who had gathered. The air around them vibrated with ancient magic, a chorus of mermaid voices rising in a haunting melody. Lights swirled around Amana and Destiny, a spectacle of magic and sacrifice that illuminated the twilight. The transformation was awe-inspiring, as Amana's mermaid form gave way to one that could walk among humans. Destiny felt an inexplicable vitality flow through her, a side effect of the ritual that promised her an extended lifespan. As the ritual concluded, Amana, now with legs to carry her, prepared to rescue Mark, her determination unwavering.